So this is actually quite famous for all the wrong reasons, but still. Also, hello my friends and welcome to Wrestling Unsolved Mysteries, and it's National Hood Week, so make sure your hood goes up. I totally made that up, don't worry about it. But back in '99, if you were watching Monday Night Raw, all of a sudden we got these strange backstage segments that looked like they'd been filmed on a security camera. They were all black and white, and before each one, you got this voice going, GTV. It sounded like some demon was about to kill you. I suppose if you do need a modern day equivalent, it would be like the NXT Anonymous social media account that kind of gives you information, with the big difference being the ones in the Attitude Era were terrible and offensive. We got these week after week too, and here's just a small summary of what we would see. Billy Gunn checking out his own ass, Al Snow picking his nose, a lot of wrestlers going to the bathroom, and at one point Val Venis looked at Big Show's penis and was like, well, you've got a big dick. And then later on, he took something and he put it down his pants because he wanted to have a big penis too. Meat cheating on Terry Reynolds. We saw Eddie Guerrero doing something in the shower, and then he came out and confronted the Godfather's lady friends. That's such a terrible sentence, I don't want to talk about it anymore. We saw Shane McMahon and the Mean Street Posse faking injuries, and other such tomfoolery. Now it is important to note that these were originally called GDTV, until somebody decided, well, we better get rid of the D, otherwise fans are going to figure this out. That's when my hand goes up. It's like, we've already seen the D. You can't take it away from it now. You've given it to us and we put it in our pockets. Whoever was doing these as well had some kind of budget, because there was an intro stinger to this. It actually had a logo. And of course, the big idea was that you would tune in week after week going, oh, who's behind this nonsense? And as ever, like WWF loved to do in the late 90s, we never found out. A lot of these did happen throughout the summer, so I presume we were building something into like September time. And then one day, there was just nothing. It stopped, no explanation, no answer, no reveal. Somebody in the back had just gone, well, I don't like these, so who cares if anybody's invested? Kill him dead. The absolute crazy part, though, is if you do jump 1 year forward, all of a sudden, GTV came back from nowhere, where we saw the Cat and Terry Reynolds having a conversation. Now, there was nothing controversial about this. They were just having a chat, but I remember going, oh, well, I suppose they're just going to pay it off. After they did this one, it went back into the ether again. I mean, where is it? The Phantom Zone? I don't know. So doing this over and over again meant the whole thing was shite, and of course, almost 30 years on, we have got all the information, so we can talk about it. As you probably figured out, given the name, it was meant to be a vehicle for none other than Goldust. So it didn't make sense, because before all this, Dustin Runnels had thrown his Goldust costume into the trash can because he was totally done with it. And his big revenge was going to be coming back as his real safe and saying, look at this Attitude Era. Isn't it just deplorable and terrible? So I am going to stand up against all this. So I suppose, given that we didn't do this, it was the precursor to Right to Censor. That was rubbish too. Now, you do have to put it in your brain that at the time, the Goldust character was so controversial that even any mention of his name and it coming back to TV totally freaked out the USA Network. They didn't want any part of it. And this is when the WWF dropped the D, because they thought they were going to trick the executives, which sums all it up. And they got a proper bad blow. Dustin went, you know what, I don't want to be here anymore. And he went to WCW. Whoops. Now, I actually think if we had dropped it here and just left it, most fans would have been quite forgiven, but no. The Rise at the time, Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara had decided, well, we don't need Goldust to do all of this, even though that was our end goal. We just have to pivot here. So leave it with us and we'll come up with something new. As these two were absolutely obsessed with anything that wasn't wrestling, though, they did look at pop culture, and somebody at the time who was lighting up our television screens on MTV, you may remember this depending on your age, was Tom Green. So they were like, well, there is a G in GTV, maybe we can reach out to Tom and he'll come on board. Now, I actually think that would have been quite the hoo-ha for the World Wrestling Federation, because again, Tom Green was smashing it, but they had one small problem. Vince McMahon wanted to see the Tom Green show, and he watched it, and the irony is, he didn't think it was funny at all. I guess he wasn't making enough potty jokes. This is where it stopped again, because of course, how can we have something unfunny on WWF TV? Well, we had a third idea, rumouredly. Why don't we give it to Headbanger Thrasher? Now, this one was just whispers. It was never confirmed. But given that Glenn Ruth was about to come back from an injury, and somebody was like, well, we want to push him when he does have a big comeback, yeah, he was pitched for this. Maybe. Now, there actually is some fuel to this fire, because one of the GTV skits we did see was Thrasher's tag team partner Mosh being sort of abused by his girlfriend, or at least talked down to. So maybe Thrasher was going to go to him and says, ha ha, I caught this in film. I don't know, to be honest. I don't think that's going to take you to the main event of WrestleMania. By this point, though, I think everybody involved realized we have over-convoluted this pot and there's nothing we can do, so we put it to one side, leaving people even in 2024 to go, well, what the flub were they doing? And I tell you what they were doing. It was more Attitude Era silliness. Now, look, I'm not saying it was all bad, but actually, when you do go through it, some of the segments we did do were borderline terrible, like when Guy and Ty were going to chop off Val Venus' penis. And there it is again. It's the second time this video I talked about Val Venus and genitalia. Would somebody please stop it? In summary, then, it was a waste of all of our lives, although really it was very indicative of what Vince Russo liked to do when he had the pen in his hand. He thought all this stuff was really funny, and the more controversial you can make something, the more people would want to see it. Well, that doesn't speak to my values. In fact, when you push the line too far, I become that guy, like, you know what, I'm done. Also, you can't just start something because it sounds cool. You have to have a conclusion and you work back from there. It's like the damn Black Scorpion angle that they did with Ric Flair and Ole Anderson was pulling all the strings and Sting. But that basically ruined Sting's first ever title run just because nobody knew who the Black Scorpion was gonna be. I mean, pick anyone, just don't make it Flair. Also, when it does come to this particular idea, none of it was cool. And if you were wondering why Goldust did go, I'm gonna go to the competition, well, maybe, just maybe, it was because he was being pitched garbage like this. What was he gonna do with it too? Like, what was he gonna do? Walk up to these individuals and say, haha, meat, I caught you cheating on Terry Reynolds. And he'd be like, well, I'd appreciate it if you didn't tell her. And then Dustin would be like, well, I am gonna tell her. And Meat would have been like, well, okay. I mean, I don't have a championship match to give you. I don't have any money, because that's not the character I have. It was completely ill thought out. And really, I don't know why I'm talking about it now. We should never talk about it again. The Al Snow one is infuriating as well, because again, imagine the scenario. Oh, Al, I've caught you on tape picking your nose. Oh, please don't reveal it to the world. I already did through GTV. Well then, what am I meant to do about that? Individuals have already seen it. Oh yeah, good point. So you can see what this is. This is just writers coming up with stuff because they wanted to go ha ha and point the finger at professional wrestlers. That's all it was. We want to put you in stupid situations just in case there's some comedy. Well, I tell you, the other day, I went and watched all the GTV segments. None of them are funny. Like I've already told you, a lot of them will make you facepalm and go, I don't want to watch wrestling anymore. And that is not the idea. And now look, I facepalmed with so much strength. My hand is glued to my face. Great. Now I'm going to be on flipping GTV. But lots of people do ask this question when it comes to GTV, so now you know it was going to be Goldust TV when finally it burnt in a fire. And now let's leave it, because it's no longer an unsolved mystery. We've solved it. Just call me Simon Holmes or Sherlock. That's a much better name. Now please do click the video on the screen, which will be another one of my unsolved mysteries as we do go into the wrestling cabinet and try and crack it open. And look, there's a comment section down there. Maybe you were watching Raw when GTV was on, and maybe you thought it was the greatest thing ever. I'd love to know why. And your opinion on that, use the box. Take care. Goodbye.